Hello and welcome back to the space between ideas. And this is day two in our design process. You might be asking yourself, this guy's crazy. What does he know about design? Well, first of all, uh, well, it's like 4 degrees Celsius in my apartment right now, and I'm relatively warm, which means I was able to design some type of arrangement of clothing to keep me warm. So there's that. Also, my dog is right next to me, and he's very happy. What else? So I've been working on this project for 10 years. So that's actually more reasons why you should not be paying attention to this crazy guy. But that's okay because the audience is not the audience right now. They don't see what I see. I literally spent 10 years of my life working on this project, which means I must see something, right? Why did I dedicated my life to this? What did I see? What did I feel? What did I think? Today you are going to learn that the the user interface and the user experience of your application is a dance. It's kind of logic. And see, the tools, there's some things that tools can replace. There's some things that tools can help you to do. And there's other things that, tools, they might not be able to help you so well. So it's important to know the difference. I'll give you an example. So today I was talking to this guy, and um, he's got experience in robotics. He's got some experience in international trade. And I told him, like, when you're working on a software project, you have to have some kind of certain milestones that you're working toward. And I introduced this idea to him. All right, so here it is. This is something pre-product market fit. This is where we're at. We're pre-product market fit. It means we don't really have too many customers. We're not growing very fast. We don't have monthly recurring revenue. Nothing's happening with customers. So I told him I want to focus on conducting customer interviews. I said, well, my goal, my first milestone is 10 customer interviews, which means, first of all, we need 10 customers and they have to agree to having an interview. Well, what does that mean? 10 customers who agree to have an interview. So that's like more than 10 customers at the end of the day. Also, how are you going to get those customers? Where are these customers coming from? So he said, well, maybe YouTube Shorts. I was like, okay. So he says, let's make an ad on YouTube Shorts and ask people to fill out a questionnaire. I was like, Superman, that's fantastic. That's a great idea. I love it. What's wrong with that idea? Nothing. It's a very direct way of thinking. Like, I don't have any customer interviews. I want 10 customer interviews. So make an ad on YouTube, ask for people for some fill out an interview. Now, that doesn't necessarily give us our 10 paying customer. Remember, there's that qualification that they're paying customers. But if they're already willing to fill out interviews, fill out questionnaires, maybe this is actually a good way. Because the thing is that no matter what you do, when you jump onto the internet and you start advertising, you have to be very specific in what kind of audience you're trying to bring in into your into your reach, your influence. And he says, why don't we focus on people who are interested in answering questionnaire questions? That's genius. So the customer I should be looking for, because I'm looking for customer interviews, is to first find people who like to respond to advertisements about responding to interview questions. Find people that like to fill out questionnaires. All right. But suddenly I realized, oh, wait a minute. That means I got to get back to designing the product. Where's our design? So yesterday we started on this thing, which is like the startup screen. So you download the app. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be the first thing that you do inside the app. But if it's a website, like if it's a mobile, if it's a mobile website, let's say that they click on it, right? It's a mobile website. All right, so it's a mobile website startup pattern. So they go to the website, and instead of seeing like a normal website, because you know how everyone has a website, but why do you have a website? What's the point of having a website? Like, so the point of the website is to convert, right? That's actually the point of the website. I'll give you an example. This is my public website. If we go to the home screen, what do I want people to do? Well, obviously I want them to use the free tool. Why? Or I want them to pay money. That's it. Those are the two options, because I have options that are like glowing you right in the face, right here. Or I want them to take our free course. But why are they going to take the free course? So let's look at our growth engine. Why is it not working? All right, so our growth engine is we create some kind of like content on the interweb. People become aware, and then they trust. And then they see the lead magnet. The lead magnet. So that means when they click the link, they're going to come to this page. What's the problem? This is not designed like a sales page. I'm asking for their email address. I'm promising them to get a free course. All right, so it's a sales page. To some extent, this is a sales page. It's very simple. 100% free. 7 value-packed emails over 14 days. Unsubscribe anytime. Free course. All right, I get a free course. So the point here, the conversion here is, the purpose of a growth engine is to get them to the next step. So why do I want the short videos? So it means that the short videos have to have something to do with my online course. Why? Because the arrow is pointing to the online course. Well, no, I want them to come straight to my website. Well, why do you want them to come to your website? In fact, there's nothing in these arrows that are coming to, none of this has anything to do with the website. The lead magnet is only the page of my website that talks about the course, and then they take the online course, and then they get the email campaign. Well, what's the email campaign? So in some future date, I'm going to be writing blog articles. Right now I got one blog article. Why am I? So in fact, as I write the blog articles, then they're going to be included into the second email campaign. So the first email campaign is the free course. So for 2 weeks, I'm sending them emails every 2 days. They're going to be taking this online course. At the end of the online course, then if they didn't unsubscribe, I'm going to be putting them into the blog. Now, this is going to be another email campaign. Now, I don't have all the emails ready. All the blog articles are going to be email campaigns. No. The blog articles are step by step the second email campaign. What's the point of the blog article? So the blog article is going to push them into the journey modules, because it's going to help them to learn how to use these. Basically, there's a blog article for every one of these steps. So by the time you finish the second email campaign, you've learned how to use all of these things. So it's basically the second online course. The first online course is like rather theoretical. The second online course is all practical. It's to guide you into creating tasks and doing tasks. Okay. Then what happens is they start to realize that, okay, like, when I'm working on my project, I like to go to these questions. It helps me to like really focus on what's the most important thing. So we're talking about managers. We're talking about managers who are constantly having to take like create the next objective, create the next program, create the next project, keep pushing forward. So they're managing the creation of projects, and then they're going to delegate those tasks to their team. So that's the whole purpose of this tool, is for a manager to be able to constantly produce new objectives and then to turn those objectives into task lists. That's this tool. What's the problem? The manager soon realizes that the text that they try to enter into this box here, it's not being saved. I mean, it's saved in the browser. So it's like whatever I write in this box, let's say I write some text in the box, I go to the next step. And then I want to show the text to the team. So then I bring up my browser, and then I have a presentation. So I can use this as a presentation tool and talk to the team. And then the text is still there. And then I work with the team, and then we put in some new answers. Great. So then I go back to my desk, and it's still there. So it's saved in the browser. All right. Now I'm going to meet my other team. And then I want to put some information in here. And then, I realize, oh my goodness, we got an issue, because I need to be able to create a project, and then inside the project, I want to be able to save this text to a project. Okay, well then, now we're talking about dashboard. So this is the paid version of the app. This is where somebody's going to be able to create a project, and then after they create that project, then they're going to assign objectives to that project, and then they're going to have a task list for that project. All right, but that's like a really big tool. I like it, but it's really big and kind of clunky. And also, there's a rapid race goal tracker, which is like when I actually go and when I want to manage my team, I'm going to be using, I want to assign, here's the team member. I can look at the tasks which are only assigned to the test owner. But I can also add 10 people to my team. So if we go to the projects page, you see here, we can add a virtual persona. We can add team members. So I can have 10 team members in my paid account, which means that in the scoreboard, let's use this other one to view it. That means in the scoreboard, which is basically a task list, that means I have 10 people I can assign projects to. So then when I use the rapid race goal tracker inside of here, I can look at the tasks which are only assigned to that one person. All right. I can also see what he's working on, what his 2 highest objectives are, like what his 2 highest priorities are, and the current priority that he wants to be working on. I cannot see his private tasks because that's only saved on his browser. And I can change it to different projects. I can change different objectives. I can change to different team members. So this app is like, right now I'm going through the little bitty, I'm just putting together the last little bits. And suddenly I just lost my confidence about this whole big ship, because it's too much. It's like this big gigantic piece of software, and I'm trying to teach people how to use it, and I want to get them taking my first course, then I need to get them to take the second course, I want to onboard them to this app, and I need them to create projects. I need to have some teams. I need them to be using taking this to their, like having their meetings with their team and like showing this is the user interface that they use with their team. So this is a very specific type of mid-level manager who's using this whole piece of software to conduct his business. But then boom, so he hits software. Once he hits the scoreboard, he's got a problem. So he's using ClickUp. He's using Monday.com. He's using Jira. So he has some external. Now, of course, we can, look, I can export the task list as a markdown file. I can export the task list as JSON or as CVS, or I can download all the modules, like the text that we had before as a PDF file. I mean, the major issue here is this task list. So eventually I got to build in an integration so that after they fill in this task, then with one click, they can just click it. It goes right into their Jira, right into their ClickUp. Fine. What I'm saying is I recognize that people have issues with their corporations who only have one approved vendor, and my vendor is not necessarily approved. So how do I get around all this? Well, just by the way I'm explaining it, it's obvious that companies already have this tool. They don't necessarily have this pattern for making decisions about what we're going to work on. But they can just use the free version. This is the presentation. Okay, guys, so welcome to my meeting today, and I'm going to be using this as a presentation tool. And we're going to enter the information in here, and then everything's going to be great, right? So my tool, that's how I want it to be used. I want it to be used as the medium of a manager working with his team to talk to them to the point where they can fill in all the tasks of a task list, from creating an objective, deciding on an objective, and then turning it into a task list. Now, I love this product, but for right now, there's two problems. First, it's clunky. Second, I haven't finished designing the Rabbit Race Goal Tracker. So that's why I'm talking to this guy. And I'm just like, yeah, man. So we got to get 10 custom interviews. So he's like, all right, let's make an ad on YouTube. I was like, okay, let's do it. Now, the ad is going to get them to do interview questions about, like, how do you solve your problem? How do you get things done? How do you break your tasks down into subtasks? How do you decide on what tasks you need to work on? Things like that. Or I can just have them click to my mobile site. So now, in this case, I'm not trying to get them to take this course, and I'm not trying to get them to go through this email campaign, which will help them to learn how to use the free version of the app, because I'm not trying to onboard them to the paid version of my website. See, so this model is already created. It's very clear what needs to happen. But with the new idea, with my new product, I want to simplify it, like really simple. Thing is, like, okay, so what's something you need to get done? Okay, can you break that down into sub-tasks or take action now? This is called education. Because can I break it down into subtasks? Oh, okay. Is this something I can do now? Or is it like step by step? Now, if they click action, then it's going to take them to this other screen. Is this a subtask you need to start working on right now? Or is there another task that's important? So this is the education behind the application. There's two main ideas. One is define difference between task and subtask. And number two is priority. That's it. This is my Nobel Prize. I discovered the ability for people to understand that the foundation of action is knowing the difference between action is the difference between task, subtask, and priority. That's it. See, if it's a task, but if it's not actionable because it's not a subtask, then it doesn't get done. So you have to take the task and turn it into a subtask. And once you understand the subtasks, meaning like these steps you can realistically take action upon, then you need to decide on priority. See, this is the logic behind the user experience. That's why designing software is not necessarily easy, because you have to understand the underlying logic behind the tool. Every tool has some kind of logic. For example, if we go back to Triz, then you'll understand that a technical system, it starts with a working element. Now, for example, I'm eating these spits. Like, what is the working element? The working element is my teeth. What happens is my teeth are crushing the seed. Well, actually, the outside of the seed, the shell. That's the working element. The tongue and my fingers are helping to place the seed in the right spot. So I have two working elements. One is the fingers, one is the tongue. So this is the mobility of the seed. And then the teeth, that's the working element. The hammer stone, the scraper shell, lever. Transmission is so that the muscle of my finger, the bones, the muscle, and the skin of my finger is transmission. And what is it transmitting? It's transmitting the engine. So the muscle, I'm using the muscle of my hand to hold the seed, and also the muscle of the tongue. I'm using the muscle of the tongue to move the tongue. And then the transmission, so the bone of the fingers, that's transmitting the energy of the muscle into the seed. And I think the tongue is just muscle. But so the transmission and the engine of the tongue is the same thing. But the transmission engine of the finger is the difference between the muscle, the tendons, and the bone. I'm finally with the control element. Now, in this case, control element is my brain. My brain is using the tongue and the lips, my finger, to feel where's the seed and how to get the shell off the seed. And then I crush the seed with my teeth, still the working element. My jaws. So the muscle of my jaw is the engine. And then this whole section of the jaw, the bone here, that hold my teeth is transmission. The control element is my brain. I'm using this area of my body as a sensor, and I'm putting everything in the right place in order to eat. See. All right. So when people are using social media, the issue is they feel that some aspect of social media is a priority. Why? Because there's a dopamine release. Now, historically, the dopamine release is a trigger that's telling you you're moving closer to the goal. All right. So why is it that you get so nervous when you're around a girl? Because that sweet, well, what's the YouTube friendly way of saying that? You're like literally like so close to the goal, which I guess is procreation. So you have these hormones, chemicals, motivations, passions, desires inside of your brain. And they tell you to interact with members of the human species. The majority of these experiences happen between heterosexual couples as a percentage. So the majority of women, they have a desire for a man, and the majority of men have a desire for a woman. They get closer and closer to each other. And as you get closer to each other, dopamine starts to pump. And so when you're using social media, they've broken down social media into subtasks. It's just so easy. So what happens is all you have to do is you just flip your thumb. That's it. If it was more difficult, I mean, look at what's the most famous dating app ever. Tinder, is that the one? I don't know. And what did they do on Tinder that made them so famous? They turned the task into subtasks. What are the subtasks? Swipe right. It's easy, right? Swipe right, swipe left. They made it so simple. All you have to do is swipe right and swipe left. And if other people swipe left and swipe right, there's a chance you get a match. And then once you got a match, you already have removed rejection. It's like a scalpel. What did they use? Surgically removed rejection, or at least a huge section of rejection. And then now, subtask, use ChatGPT to send messages to her ChatGPT. Right? Until what? Until you send some kind of indication that she's looking for. What's she looking for? She's looking for competence. She's looking for kindness. She's looking for generosity. That's basically it. A woman is a machine that's looking for competence, kindness, and generosity. That's it. So you send a message that says, "Hi, I'm confident. I'm kind, and I'm also generous." And they're like, "Okay, let's do it." It's easy. Now, so priority. Problem with social media is, since they made it so easy, Tinder and social media, since they made it so easy, since they broke the subtasks down into something that's easy, you tend to prioritize easy. Because if you can get the same amount of dope with less effort, it's likely it'll turn into a priority. You might not get the result you're hoping for. Maybe you go on 100 Tinder dates, and then you realize at the end of the 100 Tinder dates, that the selection criteria for those Tinder dates didn't match the result you were looking for. For example, maybe Tinder relies heavily on the idea of people who are open to new experiences, but it selects for people who prefer novelty. All right. Now we're talking about Big Five, right? This is a Big Five conversation. What did it say? The Big. What's the Big Five? What's that show? It sounds pretty interesting. All right. Anyways, let's talk about the Big Five. All right. So let's say that Tinder like pre-selects for people who are high in openness. All right. So they're inventive and curious. People who are all right. So they're open to new experiences and novelty. That's it. Okay. So let's say that these people are extremely open. Now, when it comes to relationships, I went to China and they're like, I hear that people from the West are very open. And it's like, what do you mean open? And could never understand what they were saying. But then after a while, people started to explain. They're like, so basically, when a Chinese person says that they think Western people are open, it means that they're willing to have sex with multiple partners with little or no emotional connection. Meaning that even if you haven't screened for a number of potential flaws or failures, you will still have physical relationships with them. That's what I understood. Now, if Tinder is pre-selecting for people high in openness, you have 100 dates. And then you realize that actually people on Tinder, they're looking for like lots of dates. They're not looking for a long-term relationship. They just want to have fun. They think that it's a great way to meet people very quickly in order to have fun. And then it's like, oh, wait, so I was looking for something different. That's a problem. Now, this is the issue right now with social media, that people they're on social media and they're getting all kinds of dopamine. And their brain is giving them that priority. They're saying, be on social media, be on social media, be on social media. Why? Because they're getting a huge amount of dopamine with very little effort. And what's the result? You're prioritizing low effort, zero result, or low result, low positive, long-term result activity. Meaning, you're setting yourself up to fail. Okay, so what are you trying to do? Because, Australia, basically, they canceled everybody's social media from like 16 years old and younger. And I don't know, is that the right answer? Now, I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong answer. I do believe that when I was a child, we didn't have televisions in bedrooms. Why? Because parents wanted to control what their children were seeing. And now children have televisions in their bedroom, which means parents can't control what they're seeing. Okay. So I'm an advocate of parental supervision. I don't have an opinion about the age limit for social media account holders in Australia. But in either case, at some point, humans are going to have access to social media. And if social media is like junk food, meaning if it gives you a huge amount of dopamine with little effort, to the extent that your behavior changes and you start to prioritize low effort, dopamine activities, then the long-term consequence of this behavioral pattern is not good. It means at some point you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that you didn't get what you wanted. And if that happens, you're not going to be happy. All right, so do we have other examples of this? I mean, let's get something controversial. What about women who are told that they don't need to find the man, the one husband? They don't need to pair bond with one male human being and have children in their 20s. So this is the message, right? You don't need to protect your physical, sexual health and potentially your emotional and spiritual health. You should have sexual experiences with multiple partners and be extremely open to new ideas. And you should prioritize yourself and make sure you are focusing on your education, your career, your happiness. And once you have all those things in place, then you're going to look around for a long-term partner. Now, I don't have any data to say whether or not having multiple sexual partners in your 20s is a good thing or bad thing. I was using that as an example. I don't know the data, but it seems clear that a lot of women get into their 30s and then suddenly they're looking around for a partner and they realize that, oh, wait a minute, I spent a lot of time on myself and now I'm looking for a guy and I want him to also put me first. But I spent all my life learning how to put myself first, and now I need a man to put me first. And then she's looking around, so she's in her 30s, and then she's like, wait a minute, I need a guy who's older than me, and I need a guy who's more successful than me. And honey, those guys, they're already married. So, because men tend to marry women who are equal in their socioeconomic status or lower. And so, also, if they're as successful as you, once you finish your doctorate degree and you're working in some lab somewhere, then it's probably likely that they have already found somebody because they have a job, they have a stable job, they have money, and they need a girl that stays at home. They can pay for her to take care of his kids. So now you're out looking for a guy, and you realize that you aged out. The guys that you're attracted to already put their lives together. And either you have to find a guy that you're not so attracted to, or you're going to be with a guy where you don't have that same level of control as you are used to having, where you put yourself first. And then eventually you decide you want to have kids. And everyone's looking at you like, what? What do you want? Who are you? What are you doing? Why did you do that? Well, I was told I could do that. So they're teaching the priorities. And if you adopt to that set of priorities, there's going to be certain results. And if you adopt other priorities, there's going to be different results. And so the point is that it's like you have to decide on the main tasks in your life. Obviously, I think education for all. Obviously, I think that if you are interested in a career, you should take those steps. I'm not a psychological professional to comment on your decisions about how you manage your sexual health or your relationships. But at some point, if you wake up and you decide your priority is going to be on loving, committed family, exclusive relationship, and children, then that means you cannot prioritize yourself, because the result of having another human in your life means you're prioritizing that relationship. And then if you're planning on having children, that means you're prioritizing that relationship. You're no longer prioritizing yourself, which means that you're going to have to seek out some different tasks and some different subtasks. So the idea that I have here for this mobile web startup pattern is that I want people to understand, like, what's something you need to get done. So I'm asking them, do you have a task? Is there a task that you need to do? And then can you break that task down into subtasks or take action now? All right, so is that a task or is that a subtask? If it's a subtask, take action. If it's a task, then you need subtasks. Great. So we're agreement. Okay. All right. So now, can you break that down? All right. So they're going to add the task in here. And then they're going to, and it's going to appear here. And then you're going to take action or you're going to add task. All right. And then the task is going to appear here. All right. So step one, what's step one? So step one, and then you're going to swipe right, and then it's going to stay step two, and then you're going to swipe right, and then it's going to stay step three, and then you're going to swipe right, and then you're going to stay step four. Swipe right after each step and right. And then click next when you're done. Good. Then click next. Swipe right after each step, then click next. Okay. Is this a subtask you need to start working on right now? Or is there another task or target that is important? All right, good. So that's priority. Now, yeah, we got more startup screens. The thing is, I don't really want to talk about startup screens for a second. I just want to talk about something else. Really. All right, what does it look like? Yeah, I got it. So I'm thinking I got a new name for this. I'm always changing the names of stuff. So anyways, this was called Connect 4. Qubit. Connect 4. Qubit. Qubit Connect 4. Qubit Connect. Qubit Connect. Qubit Connect. Or we don't need 4. Qubit Connect. Qubit Connect. I like that. Qubit Connect. Qubit Connect. Qubit. Now, what is qubit? Oh, shoot. It's not that. All right. So there's 5 buttons in this application. What are the 5 buttons do? All right. The middle button is called qubit. Qubit AI. Everyone says I got to add AI. So it's like, all right, fine. I'll add AI. Yeah. Qubit AI. Man, that doesn't fit, does it? Well, I need it to fit in this box. All right. So at the top, we have the dial. Dial in priorities. Dial in priorities. Dial in your priorities. All right, what's the point? Dial in your priorities. Cube it. Yeah, cube it. All right. So it. All right, let's make that bold. Too big. Maybe just got to be uncomfortably large. Qubit Connect. Let's make it italic. All right, Qubit Connect. All right, I like that. Good. Now let's make this a little bit smaller. All right, there you go. So this is your dial. Now, the thing is that your dial is dialing your priorities. So we need this, like, we need to add task. All right, let's change this to a plus sign. And I want it the same size as this one. Okay, so what happens when you add a task? So when you add a task, what it does is this is like this. This is step one. Mother. Step two. Step three. Step four. All right, it's not quite perfect, but it's fine enough. Maybe just turn it, maybe do 2.5. Yeah, perfect. All right. Now, if I add a task, then what happens is it adds a row. All right, so what happens is like, okay, so what happens is like what's something you need to get done? Can you break that down into subtask or take action now? Now, so then here's the task from 1.5. Well, what does that mean? It means that this goes into here. All right. Now, what am I going to do here? So, let's say that I just clicked take action. If I click take action, it takes me here. Is this the subtask you need to start working on right now? Or is there another task or target that's important? Add task. Add new task. Take action. Right now. There. Now, what else do I need from this? All right, so let's get started. 4 or 5. same. I need this. Boom. All right, good. Now, if they click Add New Task, then it goes to here. And if they clicked Take Action right now, then pop up. Go do that thing now. Or put the item into your timetable and come back here. Okay. That's 1 of 5. What's next? Now, if they click next, from this page, then go to that thing right now. What's that thing? Okay, so then this is step 1 or task. All right, good. So the pop-up is 5 of 5. And then they're going to enter the app. Let's put this on the other page. Great. All right, so we got our pop-up. We got our, what do you call this thing? Where's our rabbit race goal tracker? Why am I missing my rabbit race goal tracker? Check Gemini for the next step. We did that. Finish planning and designing the onboarding screen and learn to use the dial. All right, so the dial is like this. So if I click this, then if I click this, it adds another row. So if I click this button, it adds another row. And the keyboard comes up. Qubit. All right, Qubit is kind of a funny thing. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but here we go anyways. So the thing is, the qubit, it's coming from the idea called cube thinking, which I created a long time ago. Cube thinking. So what it does is the idea of qubit is like, okay, so the column of tasks is one dimension, and the row of steps is the second dimension. You get it? So qubit, what does it mean to qubit? So when you click qubit, and therefore clicking qubit does and also uses AI to break down that step of that task into 4 steps, using into 4 steps that are added to the next row. You got it? It's like magic. So the thing is, like, let's say I'm working on step number 2. All right, let's say that I'm working on like learn to use the dial. So I click dial. Either I click dial first or I click qubit first. It doesn't matter. I click one or the other. I click learn to use the dial. Then I click qubit. And what it does is it adds a new row and it says this, 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 and this. So it creates a new row for you, then it adds AI and it gives you the next 4 steps. So you don't have to think. It just gives you your steps. All right, so then we need to add, so we got dial, add, put item, put task, put step, put step into, let's just call it dial left. Why does that happen like this? All right. Got dial left, dial right. And then what's this? Delete minus, please minus. Minus task. So I'm kind of playing with this idea of Connect Four, so like you can swipe it to the right, swipe it to the left, and you can delete it that way. Or let's say I just click this tab and I click minus, then it'll say a pop-up will come up. Do you want to delete this task? Or if I click minus task and I click the task, it can delete the task. I click task, it adds a new row, and the keyboard comes up. Click dial left, or I click the step and then click dial left. It puts it up into the dial, and then I click dial right, and then whatever step, and then it puts it up into the dial on the right side. And there you go. Keep it connect. What that? Gotta go. Wants to go running.